Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
What did you think of the movie, man?
Oh man, having not seen it yet, I loved it.
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part was when it ended.
Oh wow!
But when it started too, it was.
Oh okay.
Yeah, I like both the end and the beginning.
You kind of like the intro and outro of the movie.
Yeah. You know what's really funny? You bring up like outros. Like going through this podcast, but especially the live streams, I'm realizing how important the final song of an album is to me.
Yeah. Well,
right?
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about it, and I feel like we usually want an album to end with a bang, which kind of skews how we view the endings of stuff more often than not.
Right. Yeah, it's like the Little Sims record, the Sleigh Bells record, like having both of those end on kind of a low note, and even
the Turnstile record, right?
Even the Turnstile record, also that, and I know we'll get into the album that we're talking about today eventually, but this record too, in my opinion, I didn't like the last song.
No, I feel like it's a problem with me that I always expect it. Like I wish I could just let it happen and let it be kind of the thing.
But we have these wants, we have these preconceived notions,
human wants and needs.
Especially like when the final track of the record doesn't match the vibe of the rest of the record, kind of like Little Sims, kind of like almost Sleigh Bells-y, and especially Turnstile. You're just kind of, you think like, why did you guys throw in a song that seemed to not fit as the last song? Like, why not? Like, I think every time we said like, if this was in the middle of the record, it wouldn't have been as much of a disappointment of a song.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's fine to end things off like on a more somber thing if it is kind of in line with the rest of the album, or
right. Exactly.
I don't know. Like
it's like the album sets the expectation, Like we might want something, but if the album is setting up something else, I'm open to it.
Like, what are some of your favorite outros?
Oh God, put me on the spot.
One of mine, I'll start it off while you think, is Decrescendo by RX Bandits.
Oh yes, dude. Great example.
And what's that off? What album is that?
That's The Resignation.
The Resignation. It's the most. It's such an epic song, and it ends with these hits. All the band together, they introduce new percussion at the very end of the song to even further like make it crazy.
It gets so heavy.
I think that's like one of my favorite outros to any album of all time. Is that?
Wow, dude, that's a great example. That's it. Like I honestly can't think of any like on the spot right now.
Well, I'm trying to go through our records that we've gone through, and think, because I know we're not always so harsh on the outro, but we expect big things from the outro because it's the last thing you leave the album off with, and when it's kind of just a melon, like when it's kind of a lukewarm hum, I don't know. I just feel like it needs to leave you impressed and wanting more.
Yeah, it definitely should leave you wanting more.
Or
and I think a lot of times it like leaves you on a lot of albums we listened to lately kind of leave you on a low note.
Yeah. Yeah. It should leave you wanting more, or it should just like be like, oh yeah, this is definitely the ending of the album.
Yeah, like I mean, if we're gonna talk about records that we've done on the podcast too, like the Space Is Still the Place by Bright Light Social Hour had a great last song. Escape Velocity was awesome for me.
Right. And
an epic one,
Yeah. And their first album had a great one too.
That was
with Rhubarb Jam,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really is important to like leave on a high note. And yeah, man, it's I think like it's funny because back in the day, which we talked about that before too, like I used to want the slow song to be the last song, and now now that's what disappoints me. If the last song is like you decided that one was going to be your ballad or that one was going to be, you know, like kind of a throwaway. It's just like, dude, what a wasted opportunity to like leave me with something that I'm going to remember, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. When the album ends and you're like, oh, that's it. Like, that's never what you want. Oh, Dark Side of the Moon has one of my favorite outros as well.
Great outro. And you didn't like the way that that Dubside did it because they didn't crescendo enough for you.
Because it didn't seem like the climax or the ending of the album. They just kind of reggae-fied it and made it a normal reggae song.
Yeah.
Which I don't like. Obviously, that's
where,
what
like,
they're
Brain
gonna
Damage
do.
ends. Yeah, but the original ends on such a like epic crescendo, where everything gets like really loud and front and center. Like, yeah, where the reggae one was just like chill.
Yeah,
which is, you know, again, like, I love it, but it's because, you know, there's definitely a difference there in terms of vibes and all that stuff, of what I was looking for from that record. You know, like, I know what reggae is. I know what it's like, and I've never heard a reggae record that has an epic last song. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, real quick before we even get into everything, I've been really wanting to ask how it's been going at the animal shelter. How's it been volunteering?
Man, I don't have much to say, just because the events, like the things that I sign up for online, are usually taken by the time I can even get to them.
Oh, so you have to sign up for it every time?
Yeah, well, I think you can also go in, but the orientation was kind of short and they didn't tell us much, so I'm kind of scared of going and like being in the way. So I've been kind of
showing up.
I've been kind of nervous to just show up and like sign up and.
Damn.
You know.
That sucks. I've been hoping that you were telling me you've been holding puppies' hands and cuddling kitties.
That's all I want to do. All I want to do in my life is just like walk dogs and hang out with dogs, man. And it's like,
I know.
Get me there.
Man, I told you about my premonition I had, right?
Your premonition?
Yeah, I had a premonition that I was gonna, like, it was like a half dream state I was in. Like, I was just about to wake up from sleeping, and I had this like really flash image of me in my 60s in this like beautiful farmland, like country with like mountains off in the distance, and I had a big property, and there was like 30 dogs or 40 dogs running around.
Oh my god.
And it felt like I like astral projected like into my future, and because it looked like me. It was me with a white beard, old man, and in my head I knew that I was a dog trainer.
You know what? I think you have told me about that before.
I have, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it was on the podcast, but it was a while ago.
I think it was probably at practice or something, because it really made an impact on me. Like, I've never had an experience like that where I legit felt like I had traveled to the future in my subconscious, and like I saw what I was going to become.
Well, the DMT definitely helped as well.
Yeah, the drip feed that I have that just like throughout the night, just through my IV, just drips a few in. It helps every night.
Right.
But it definitely helped me that. I time traveled.
Yeah.
You ever time traveled, Brett?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
And that's why you always get paid more for this podcast than I do.
That's right. That's why you pay me more than I pay you.
Yeah.
It's always a really silly exchange of money.
Yeah, I don't know
that we do.
I don't know why you pay me if I just pay you more. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't seem like it's meaningful at all.
I don't understand the system, but we can't stop doing it because
I mean, it's too late.
It's what we've been doing since the beginning. Yeah.
Speaking of systems, would this be about the time to do the intro? Do you think?
I think it's real quick. I'm looking at the timer now. 3, 2. What's up, buddies? And welcome to another episode of Earbuds, the podcast where good friends talk about good albums for good time. And today we have a really, really good one. But before we get into it, I need to introduce my buddy, Brett Bam Bam Baklava Hanrahan. Machine Gun Money.
Machine Gun Money.
And I am your other host, Lucas, Dr. Kimball Indrakovs. And, you know, from day one, we've been calling ourselves, we knew what we wanted to be. We knew what we wanted our moniker to be from day fucking one. And it was the Odd Couple of Podcasts. Because that's what we are. We're an odd couple, Brett. We're so different. You and I.
We're so different, but we're so bonded.
But we blend together perfectly.
Yeah.
It's we're perfect strangers. But something happened. The internet's crazy, Brett.
Did you have another vision?
I had a vision while visiting the internet recently, and I'm seeing, they're talking about us on Twitter. Mm-hmm. They're talking about us on Instagram.
And I wish they would stop. I wish they would at least calm down, but I
just want people to find better things to do with their lives, to be honest. Like it's like we appreciate the love.
Like I appreciate the support, but like not really, So like
yeah, we don't need it because we don't
get the hint is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not why we're doing this. We're not doing it for the fame.
We're doing it for the money.
We're doing it for the money that Brett pays me every week.
Yeah.
And on TikTok, there's a challenge going on right now, an earbuds challenge.
Yeah,
there's a challenge going on, and I don't even want to attempt it. People keep DMing me; they want me to get in. I'm not going to do it. But the thing that's going around right now, people are calling us the Pod Couple of Oddcasts.
Okay, and is that the the Pod Couple of Oddcast challenge? Is that what they're calling it on TikTok?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it's odd because this podcast, I would say, is one of the more basic premises for a podcast. So
right. Calling
it an oddcast and calling us a pod couple,
what does that even mean?
I don't know what it means, but send it to me on TikTok. I got like 26 followers. I bet I could go viral if I tried it out. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm sure you have like 26 messages just waiting for you right now in your inbox about this thing. But if you guys want it, fine, you got it. We're the Pod Couple of Oddcasts.
That challenge will be on our Patreon, by the way. Only $50 donors are going to see it, though.
Yeah, Patreon exclusive. If you give us $5, you're an ear foe.
Mm-hmm.
If you give us $50, you're an ear guy.
Yeah. And then $500
$500 is where you get to earbud level. That's that's
and only two people have paid that, you and me.
Yeah, and we're just pulling money out of it every week.
Yeah,
from that sum.
I thought it was a genius plan.
All I was trying to do was get you to pay me somehow, and it worked. Yeah. But we get to talk about music on this podcast, and I love it. And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite rappers, if not my favorite rapper. I think he's my favorite rapper of all time. A Mr. Action Bronson, Bam Bam Baklava, Bronsolino, Ariane Aslani, with his record that came out in 2018, I believe, called White Bronco.
Blanco Bronco.
The Blanco Bronco. And yeah, man, as I was listening to White Bronco, I was realizing that it is not my favorite Action Bronson record.
When you brought it up, I was a little bit confused because it's still a good record. But it's not like an outstanding Action Bronson record, I would say.
Yeah, as I was going through it, I think it's really probably his goofiest lyrics of any of his records.
I mean, what was that song? Brutal was probably it was probably the funniest verse on the record when he's talking about like running down the street naked. They found him face down in a hotel with a J.J. Abrams ID, like fake ID.
Yeah, something about like the madam said something and the hooker said we got him.
Yeah.
Like what is it? Let me see. Yeah, my other a payday pattern. The fake ID said JJ Adams. My other one was stolen by a madam. She whispered to the hooker like we have him. She was right. I was blinded by the pussy.
And then,
but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of goofy on this record by him.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite lines on the entire record. I forget what song it is, but he says like, "Shit, so wave, need a full body do rag."
How good is that, dude?
And I think, honestly, I think that line like perfectly encapsulates his style, which is his crazy bravado confidence,
Yes.
while also not taking himself so seriously that he'll give people the image of him wearing a full body do-rag. You know? I mean...
But that's one of the things I love about him is just how fucking braggadocious he is. And we've talked about that before, that I love that type of stuff when it's done well.
Yeah. You love... I mean, Action Bronson, Run the Jewels is one of the best braggadocious rap duos, you know?
Outcast. Amazing. Yeah, man. Like Freddie Gibbs, I would put up there. And I think like Action's lyrics are just so colorful, and his subject matter is like fucking right up my alley.
I mean, it's easy to get a picture in your mind when this guy raps. He has a very creative kind of like mindset, and you can also, he wears his interests on his sleeve, right?
Right.
So like he's a chef. Everyone knows that. He'll talk about food a lot. I noticed a lot of, I think, cars. He loves cars. He like talks about them all the time in his music.
Specifically BMWs, mostly.
Just his style, movies. Speaking of which, I had no idea he was in a Tarantino movie.
Oh, not a Tarantino movie, a Scorsese movie.
Scorsese, okay, yeah.
Yeah, a Martin Scorsese movie. Like that's so crazy to think about, that he's in a fucking Scorsese movie. And he wasn't bad in it.
No?
He was pretty good. That, dude, I shit you not. It's from The Irishman. That is a 3.5 hour movie, I think.
Oh my God.
Maybe a little bit longer. Maybe a little longer. And it's slow and it's quiet. It's great. But Action Bronson has this, like, I was watching that movie knowing that Action Bronson was in it. He didn't come up until like hour 3, like 3 hours and 15 minutes into the fucking movie. So as much as I was enjoying the movie, the whole time I'm like, God damn it, where is Action Bronson? I'm like, did they cut the scene? Like, does it not show up anymore?
Man, I mean, that's a long time to wait. Did he have a big part, or was it just kind of a bit?
It was more of a bit. It was like probably a 2-minute scene, 3-minute scene. All right. And he plays I think he plays like a morgue operator. He's selling Robert De Niro a casket, and he's like selling different caskets and telling him like what the benefits are and what the features are of like specific caskets. And he, as far as I can remember, he's just dressed like Action Bronson in it. Like, it seems like he just walked on set and Scorsese was like, this is the guy I fucking hired, so I want him to be him. And, like, he's not wearing a suit or anything, you know, he just looks like Action Bronson.
Man.
But yeah, man, like this, I would definitely, it's cool because he did an Irishman freestyle. It's like song number 2 on this record too. So it's like, I feel like he just because he says, I just filmed my first scene with Scorsese, just did my first scene with De Niro. Like, you can tell he's like, holy fuck, I am pumped. But yeah, man, as I was going through the record, it's definitely not, I don't think it's his best work lyrically. It does at times seem like he's phoning it in because he has a lot of fallback stuff that he can talk about, right? Like, by now it's like, how many times can you bring up food and weed and all this? Like, he's rapped about it for so long, it's really easy for him to do it. So that's what it feels like.
Right.
There's not a lot of imaginative Action Bronson lyrics on this record. If it's your first time listening to Action Bronson, it would probably be better.
Yeah, well, as a person who's only really listened to like 3 Bronson records, it's probably a little newer to me, just because I haven't gone through his whole discography. I listened to Mr. Wonderful, which is on the list of albums we'll get to eventually.
Yeah.
I
would say. Yeah. Sorry. What was the other one you listened to?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay, because as I was listening to this one, I realized that Blue Chips 7000 I think is my favorite record by him. That it's the overall, like, I think he fucking brought it, and the music was great.
Is that
I would say, go ahead.
that's the blue one, not the one where he's like a cartoon yelling at a dude?
No, that's a mixtape, I think. Yeah, the blue one is just like big block letters, like looks like kind of techno 80s letters. Blue
Okay.
Chips 7000.
All right.
But I will say, like, I think the reason I picked this record, and I think the reason it comes up as, like, I was just thinking, like, well, I gotta pick an Action Bronson record, and this is the one that I landed on, was the music. God,
Yeah.
I love the music on this record.
It's a whole variety from blues to psychedelic to jazz,
Yeah, funk.
funk for sure.
Like, it's so sonically so cohesive, and almost every other song is a different producer. Like,
Yeah.
I think Action just has an ear. Like, I think he has an ear for a specific type of music he's trying to do.
Yeah, it's not really music anybody else is rapping on,
Right.
and that's what pulled me into liking Action Bronson was, first of all, kind of his accent, right?
Right.
Just because, I don't know, it sounds cool when dudes from New York rap. And his music, just because it's so varied and it's so interesting to listen to. It's so different from everything even today, especially like, now that trap is one of the main
Man.
forms of like mainstream rap these days.
Where every beat sounds exactly the same.
Yeah, and it's just nice that even within his records, he has a variety of music. And you can see he kind of pulls from a lot of different influences.
Yeah, he worked with, like, on this record, I could have sworn, had I not looked up the producers on this record, I would have thought that Alchemist did the entire thing.
Well, apparently Alchemist didn't do a single thing.
He didn't do a single thing on this, and I was convinced he did all of it. I was like driving around stoned listening to this the other day, and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to talk about The Alchemist. He fucking killed it on this record. That's why I love this record, because of the music. And then I look it up, and I'm just like, what the fuck? It's like 4 or 5 other people.
Yeah, I think it was between 3 or 4 different producers, including Knowledge, Harry Sham,
Harry Fraud. Yeah.
Harry Sham.
Harry Fraud works a lot with, like, Currency. He does a lot of really cool, like, what I would call, like, Miami speedboat rap beats. Like, very smooth, very, like, glittery synthesizer beats. Like, it sounds like anything Rick Ross would use. I feel like Harry Fraud is, like, right there, But then you have Party Supplies, who has been, like, a mainstay with Action since his first record. And I love his stuff. Like, he does more of the funky, like, sampling a bunch of old funk songs and making it kind of just an energetic hip-hop beat.
Yeah.
But, dude, Knowledge had my favorite beats on this record by far.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, he did, like, Live on the Moon.
Yep. He did Prince Charming.
Prince Charming.
And Picasso's Ear, which, like, are 3 of my favorite beats on the whole record. But I gotta say, like, 10 out of 11 songs, I love all the beats.
10 out of 11, huh?
Yeah. There's one that I don't like. And we were talking about it at the beginning where I feel like the album ends on a bit of a sour note for me, where on Swerve on 'Em, that music doesn't fit with any of this record. This record is all, like, 70s psych and funk and jazz and stuff that they're sampling. And then the last song is, like, a basic song that you would hear on, like, NBA 2K12.
You don't think this is a cool kind of psychedelic, weird,
It is psychedelic.
orchestral type song?
It is psychedelic. That's the part that I like about it. I like the have a funny feeling you frontin'. I like that hook.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the juxtaposition of the first 10 songs being like samples of old music, so it gives it this really organic old school vibe, like an old school cool to it, And then you go into this like super modern 808 drum beat, synthesizer, hip hop track to end the record is a very weird way to end it because it sounds like a completely different album.
Do you think ASAP had anything to do with that?
I will say that I did not like his verse.
No?
I thought it was pretty weak. It was a lot better whenever I was following along with it, like reading the lyrics and following along. Like I saw some cool play, wordplay that he was doing in there, but no, I'm not a fan of his feature on that song.
Man.
But I like the hook. I like the have a feeling you front. Like I think that's really cool.
Swerve on him.
I don't like that part.
No.
I do like the hook that Aesop goes for, but yeah, the song is kind of trippy. So like once I kind of started like digging the psychedelic part of it, it's a fine song for me, but I would say it stands out a little bit like a sore thumb.
Well, this is gonna be an interesting
awkward when we get to Toy Snugs. All right, well that can wait. That can wait. Man, I wanna call out a few of my favorite lines on the record.
Yeah.
And some of the goofy shit. Like he is goofy on this. The babbling that he does at the beginning of The Irishman.
Yeah, and like he does it on a couple songs, and one of them he sounds like he's doing an impression of the Tasmanian devil or something.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Really strange.
And also like
almost cringy.
The end of Brutal and the beginning of Telemundo are really
where
weird.
He's screaming. Dude, yeah, the screaming where he sounds like he's like blowing out his fucking chords there.
Yeah, like what is that?
I don't know. It's really intense. It sounds like they just let him. Like they just let him go off.
Do you think that was him?
I assume that was him. It sounds like him to me for some reason.
Well, I don't know. In any case.
Yeah, it's weird, but there are some like we were saying before. Like I would say this is one of his funniest records. Like he's being pretty funny. Like I love the in The Irishman where he's like standing in the mirror like I hate my vagina.
Like I hate my vagina.
And of course, I love the line, "My haircut is like Dominican folk art."
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's an amazing line, dude. The look, it's Don Cheadle. No, it's just me, ho. Like, someone mistook him for Don Cheadle. I fucking love that. He brings up another one where like all these women calling me Tay Diggs and stuff. I'm just like, I love he's just how goofy he is.
Yeah, I it's good to know when a rapper has like a sense of humor. You know.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, I think that's why I don't feel like that's like the like ultimate arrogance that he has in his music. I feel like that's not him in real life because he's able to make fun of himself. Like he has, you know. I mean, I feel like people who are arrogant can't make fun of themselves.
I watched a couple YouTube videos of
Bronson.
He
comes off like an asshole sometimes.
Yeah,
but I think like a big like I mentioned that like you know Action Bronson is just such a huge influence on me and discover like he has shown me a lot of things that like have become part of my personality essentially, like from food to wine to weed to wrestling, movies, horror stuff. Like he has exposed me to so many deep cut things in each one of those like little worlds and cultures that to me it's like Action Bronson just has a culture to him. Like he's cultured in a very, very specific way. Cars also, you know, like cool fucking like not cars that people are normally into. I think that's what I connect with him a lot is that I also try and be like not what everyone likes about this one thing. Like I find like the weird. Oh, that's not my favorite. My favorite Radiohead album is
you're always
the one that no one else
seems
to
deep
like.
Cuts.
I want to be the deep cut guy because I never want to feel like I'm just like falling in with the crowd, you know?
Yeah, because you're like a hipster poser or something.
You nailed it. Like it's weird because it's not a desire. It's not like I purposefully like will ignore something I like and just be like, no, I have to like the other thing. Like I can't like this. It's too popular. Like I've let go of that part of myself, but also like I just tend to gravitate towards like the weirder stuff by an artist, you know? And I think it's also like just deep cuts with, you know, with food and movies and all this stuff. I just love being in the know, I think is what it is. Like I love being like on the forefront of stuff like that not a lot of people know about. And I love exposing people to things.
Right. Yeah.
So that gets me excited too. So like, yeah, man, it's just like, I think just him, like his persona and just like his culture that he has built around him. Like I just immediately connect with him. And I have a tank top that's like a kind of a trippy drawing of him, and he's like just hitting it looks like a painting, and he's like hitting a G pen like vape, and really simple design. But the amount of times that people have asked me if it's me on the tank top, you don't know how happy that makes me every time I get mistaken for Action Bronson.
How many times have you gone as Action Bronson for Halloween?
Not once, man. By the time I got into him, I stopped being invited to Halloween parties.
Man.
I didn't get into Bronson probably till I was like, really got into him in around 2017, 2018.
How old were you in 2017?
Oh, Jesus. 30?
Yeah, I mean, look, it is what I always say, is it's never too old to go out and steal candy from kids.
I told you that. I gave you that saying.
I know. I just wanted to look cool.
You're reusing my material now.
I'm sorry.
No, man, honestly, I don't know if you still get invited to parties, but there's definitely a certain age where people just stop having parties. Like, if it's not a birthday party or an event, there's not a lot of random Saturday night parties, like, in my group of friends, like, it ain't happening.
Well, here's the thing.
Too many kids and shit.
My roommates, who are also some of my best friends, all three of them
with them.
All three of them are trans, and two of them are emo. So Halloween is a big deal around here.
Oh man, I love the Halloween season, but do they get fucking like they dress up like crazy and go all out?
It's more like we have Halloween decorations around our house all the time, and it's just
I can see bats and wolves behind you right now.
Yeah. The front of our house has like the spider webs you get from Party City and stuff, and so when Halloween comes, it's more like they'll just kind of dress. It's less of a costume and more they'll just go all out with what they usually do
with what they want to dress like.
Yeah. And so
that's awesome.
Even if we literally don't go outside the house, I'll usually dress up as something.
Half of y'all are wearing corsets for some reason, even if you're not leaving the house.
Yeah.
Just black and red corsets.
And we're just like, posing. We're taking pictures for the gram. Yeah.
Then you have the singer of My Chemical Romance's red eye makeup on.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We have a sock from Gerard Way that he dumped in the trash. We scavenged it out and we kind of put a mural by it. We have pictures of him all around. We try to summon him every year. I think I'm feeling good about this year, but it hasn't worked yet.
Dude, I can tell you about 5 different hallucinogens that you can find around San Marcos that are just like growing naturally. That you guys can take this season and probably fucking see Gerard Way coming out of that sock.
Okay. All right.
If you want to, we can do it off air.
Yeah. Go ahead and private message me those links on like Poll Chat or something.
Doing it right now.
A signal. Dude, I think it's about time we get to the section where we hear a new little song.
I think it's time for Choice Nugs. It is time for Choice Nugs. It is time for Choice Nugs. Yeah, but what'd you think of the song?
Well, I liked the music.
Yeah, I think that's the best part. I literally did. I one-taked it, dude.
I could tell.
Oh yeah. I just wanted something, man. Like, and I don't know how to harmonize, so I doubled the track and did like a lower harmony just to make it sound weird.
Dude, I was thinking of just like adding a harmony for no good reason.
You should. I can
but
send you the file if you want to. Like
when you asked me to send you over a couple songs, I assumed it was for like the Narnugs radio thing.
Oh, okay.
And so when you sent back one of my songs with you singing like Narnugs, it's Narnugs.
I was like, yeah, well, it was like the little like Russian sounding. It is time. It is time. It is time for choice nugs.
Yeah, I wanted it to be. I wanted my vision for it was it to be a French song, and it kind of has like the mandolin, but like I don't have that on my computer, so now it sounds more like medieval.
Yeah, it sounded very medieval to me, and I was like, I'm gonna do like a Transylvania type delivery where I like very like yeah, la, da, da,
yeah,
la, da, da, and then
you
you
have
have
like a cape.
It's time for choice nugs at the end, and I'm gonna do a rating song, and it's gonna be like a part of one of your like louder songs that you wrote, and I don't know how I'm gonna sing it, but I think I'm just gonna go like it's time for ratings, time for ratings, time for ratings. Just like I'm just gonna do something like that.
Maybe we could get my boy Pierce from Burn Band to kind of do it with you.
Oh, hey, that's an idea. Now that's an idea. You finally brought a good one.
You throw a bunch of spaghetti at the wall, something's gonna stick.
Something's gotta stick. I miss those like gummy hand things you used to throw on the wall, and it would like snip down.
Dude, we need to go to an arcade sometime.
Yeah. Fly out to San Diego, and we'll meet halfway. We'll get an Arizona arcade.
Yeah, man, sounds good. So choice nugs, man.
Yeah, dude, I really want to start with yours, man. I'm super curious. Like, obviously, like we both have recognized that this is not the best Action Bronson record, but hoping there was a couple of songs on here that you liked a lot.
Well, let's go ahead and start with the most controversial one.
Oh,
it's the only song you didn't like.
It is
the last song on the album. It is Swerve on 'Em, featuring A$AP Rocky.
That is interesting. Tell me why.
Man,
Explain yourself.
I'm a big fan of rap songs that have like, I don't know, this kind of vibe around them, like Kid Cudi, I guess, like Man on the Moon. And I just thought
that's a great record.
The orchestral stuff, like in reverse with the 808 beats, was such a cool combination. Because when it gets down to it, it was the music that got me to make my decision on choice nugs. Because the verses are kind of all the same to me. It's all kind of braggadocious stuff the whole time, and they're all of like equal quality and value. I think some are like funnier than others, some are more like, I wouldn't say more braggadocious, but had more memorable lines in them.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, I love that hook that A$AP does. And a homie, homie.
Yeah, I like that he called someone jabroni.
Jabroni.
Had a funny feeling you frontin'. Every time I see you, you phony. Bitch, everything Johnny, jabroni. Everything get jolly, little homie. Like, it's a really cool delivery.
Yeah.
I like the like it's a cool cadence.
The rhythm, the flow of it is cool. And honestly, like, I kind of like the verse from A$AP. There's only 2 guest verses on this entire record. I'm not including Big Body.
Don't.
And I don't know, man. I thought it did well. I don't think it's the best verse on the record. I don't think it's better than any verse Action did on the record, but I don't know, man. I just kind of like it.
Yeah, man. I would say it definitely grew on me. Like it. I did not like it. Obviously, I've heard this album probably 20 times at this point.
Right.
And I'd never liked his verse until I had to really start listening to it for this episode, and it made me have a more appreciation for it. But I don't know why. It didn't land on me. I do like the line, the "Ready or not, here I come, man. I feel like a refugee," because that's
it's ready or not,
the
here
Fugees.
I come.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, and I like the hook that he came up with. I think it's like I like that they repeat it a lot in the song.
I think the outro is interesting when they kind of bring it down a little bit and it's just action
Yeah.
at that last part. I also love on the bridge when ASAP is kind of doing the first part of that hook and then Bronson kind of jumps in and like steals it.
He does another like a quick third verse.
Yeah. All that being said, I'm not sure it was the best. It doesn't seem. It doesn't seem like an outro, really. But none of these songs really seem like an outro. So,
I think a couple of songs could have worked as an outro. I think "Live from the Moon" would have been a nice, very chill vibe.
That sax solo by Young Mexico.
Love it, love it. That
could have been a good way to end it.
I think White Bronco, could have ended it too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think a lot of rappers really take their album track list into account, like the order of the tracks.
Right.
Mostly it's just kind of song. And Action, I feel like, would be one of the few people to do that, but maybe not on this record.
Yeah, I don't think there was a lot of thought in this record. It almost feels like a mixtape vibe, a little bit.
Yeah.
It just kind of seems like a collection of songs. It doesn't feel like there was any real direction, like on Only for Dolphins. Is the one that followed this one? I think it followed this one. That one has a clear, like, he was going for something on that. You know, Blue Chip 7000, he was also going for something on that. Like, this is one of the only albums by him that I feel like it didn't feel like an album. It felt like a mixtape, and it might just be a vibe that I get from it. And I don't know if I'm explaining it that well, but because I feel like the only Blue Chip 7000 had a theme, and just an overall vibe to it. No song really stood out as like not fitting like it kind of does on this record. Only for Dolphins had a vibe. Lamb Over Rice had a vibe. So yeah, it's this one is a standout record, and it's kind of probably his weirdest one.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, despite Only for Dolphins literally having like he wrote an album for dolphins.
Yeah, man, which he referenced on this album.
Yeah, he like planned it. He like called his fucking shot.
He did it. He went through with it. I thought it was a throwaway line, and then I looked, and then I remembered like, oh yeah, he has that album called Only for Dolphins,
and it's a good one. And if you haven't heard it, there's dolphin sounds all over that fucking thing.
Just like there's like the cheapest 240p low quality horse sample on this all throughout this record,
and I'm gone.
And like that kind of like, to me, it got across like the comedy of the record even more.
Yeah, dude, and all his like and him screaming and I mean literally the song with Big Body starts like Ring Ring. It starts with Big Body just like cracking up. I'm just like this seems like he has a freestyle on this record. That's another reason it adds to the mixtape vibe. Yeah,
I mean maybe this was a more off the cuff record. You know,
it might have just been songs that he had, right?
Yeah. And one thing that we haven't talked about yet somehow with Action and this album is 11 songs, 26 minutes.
Yeah.
Like how you do that, especially as a rapper these days, is something I super appreciate. You're always talking about how much you love that Action makes these short songs that leave you wanting more.
Yes. And I feel like this is the only record of his that when the song ends, I'm satisfied.
Wow.
You know, because
for better or worse,
he really does. Like, I love that about him, where a lot of times if the song is 2.5 minutes long, I'm like, God, I could do another minute of that easily. And it's usually the beat, but a lot of times when he's just on it, I'm just like, dude, I can listen to this guy for 3.5 minutes, like no problem. And very few features. He has 2 actual features on this record. Yeah,
and then a trumpet or a sax solo and a one-liner from Big Body.
Right. It's it might not be his best lyrical content, but like you got to give the guy credit for carrying an entire record basically just by himself.
Mm.
You know, that doesn't happen a lot in hip hop.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, let me get to my second nug,
Please do.
which is
I'm
the
going to tell you
second...
why you're wrong.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It's Irishman Freestyle.
Nice.
It is the second song on the record. I love this sample that's on this song. And the kind of like old sounding kind of funk, or I don't know. I don't know what this sample could have come from. You know, like
yeah. It almost sounds like a
sounds
a James Brown song or something.
something like that. Yeah. It sounds very vintage. And
It's
I don't
definitely
know,
from
man.
the 70s, possibly 60s.
I just love it when they have those vocal samples throughout the song, and this dude going like, I don't know, whatever he's saying.
Yeah, and I'm gone. Like,
And I'm
yeah,
gone.
I love that.
I believe this is the one where he talks about getting a DUI driving out the Trey Songz concert.
Yeah, this one had some of my favorite lyrics on the record.
And it's a minute and a half. You know, it's super short. It's just basically, it's like one verse, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a freestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we were saying, you know, it sounds like he just came back from like filming the scene, and
Maybe he was just like super hyped that he was gonna be in a movie, and he's like, let me go off.
So hyped. Oh man, so I can tell you right now, the sample on this song is an Otis Redding song.
That makes sense.
Yeah, 1967, a song called Tramp. And yeah, man, this was, I mean, produced by Party Supplies. Like, that dude knows what he's doing, man.
But yeah, it was kind of hard to choose because I love the variety of music on this record, and I don't think there was no song that had bad music.
No, I agree.
Picasso's Ear, the hook that Bronson did was kind of annoying to me. It was like, I don't want to drink,
yeah.
I don't want to smoke, I don't want to smoke no more.
What are you
know?
like you fucking, what was it? Are you fucking kidding? I'm trying to do all that shit.
Yeah, and he does that like 8 times in a row, and it's like
in a different way every time.
Yeah.
Like, don't want to drink, don't want to smoke no more. You fucking stupid. I'm trying to do all that shit. You know, I used to also really, really not like that hook. Despite loving the music on Picasso's Ear. So good. I used to hate that hook until yesterday. I was driving around by myself, stoned to the bone, listening to this record, and I loved that part.
Oh, whatever, man.
I mean, I know it's not good. It's really stupid.
It could have just been an off the cuff thing. He could have just freestyled it in the studio.
I think he did, and he did it differently every time.
But yeah, that was the only song that was a little annoying to me, as well as the weird, like, the outro of Brutal in the intro of Telemundo. And
The screaming?
Yeah, the screaming, and then like the Indian music with the gunshots.
Dude,
for
why?
Like a minute.
Why end it like that? The music is so cool on Brutal, and they end it with this AK-47 going off for the last minute of the song.
And it's like, is it just because the track's called Brutal? Like,
well, I think it has something to do with the sample at the end of the song. It's a Albanian folk song, and it's like, apparently it's talking about the great Albanian dictator that came after World War II, and he's basically a symbol of freedom to Albanians, and Bronson and a lot of his family are Albanian,
right?
So I think it's a bit kind of like, you know, a bunch of people celebrating a victory or something and shooting an AK at the end. But man, Brutal has, like, I hate that they ended it that way because I love the music on Brutal.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And it brings back old Action, like in his delivery where he's like screaming almost, like really hype. He doesn't rap like that very much anymore.
Yeah, like more high pitched than you would expect this dude to go.
Yeah, that's how he used to sound. Like when you go to his old demos and his first album, like he used to rap a lot more high pitched, aggressive, kind of yelling, and that's why he got compared to Ghostface Killah a lot back in the day. But not just compared, but he was like accused of ripping off Ghostface Killah. Like
Really?
that's the first thing I thought when I first heard him. When my friend showed me Action Bronson, I was like, dude, he's just doing a bad Ghostface impersonation. And my buddy was like, nah, man, you don't get it. You don't get it. And I'm like, you're right.
And then eventually you got it.
Eventually I got it. And then now I listen to the two of them, and they sound really different now. But yeah, in the beginning, Action sounded so much like him. They're both from Queens. They just both kind of had the same delivery type. So I don't think he was legit ripping him off. But he got compared to and accused of ripping off a Ghostface a lot in the beginning. And Brutal definitely brings back that vibe of just like, man, he's like screaming and kind of really, really hype.
Yeah, right.
But I love I love Irishman Freestyle, man. I think that's a great choice, Nug. Obviously you're wrong about Swerve on him, but it's like, it's fine.
Okay.
Like, we'll just no,
All
I'm
right.
just kidding. Like I that song grew on me, but man, it took years. It took years for that song to grow on me. Once I kind of started digging the psychedelic vibe of it all, I dug it for sure.
Well, what are your choice nugs, guy?
Yeah, let's see if you agree with those. I mean, I feel like we're going down the earfo path at this point. I want to turn this around. I was just kidding.
Well, it's too late for that, isn't it?
I respect your opinions.
Uh-huh.
It was just a joke.
Yeah, huh?
Live from the Moon is one of my favorites.
Man, I was gonna say, it's so. I'm not trying to be like this. For whatever reason, that song never, like, I never really got that one. For some reason,
the music or what he's saying,
Maybe-
or
like, I really like the music. It sounds like a super space jazz something or another. You know?
Yeah, it sounds like some fucking, jazz from Yugoslavia or something from the '60s.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Maybe just how many times he says "Live from the Moon."
Yeah. He doesn't have
And,
the
like-
best hooks on this record.
I don't know. But aside from that, like, I love when he says, like, fuck Star Wars, Indiana Jones is better, or whatever.
Like, out of nowhere.
Yeah, just like, okay, man, cool.
Yeah, I think I love the line, look, it's Don Cheadle, no, it's just me, ho.
It's just me, ho.
I think it's not necessarily his lyrics on this one. It's the overall vibe that I love on this. Like, this makes me want to be like driving a really vintage car like through Morocco or something. Like, just so cool. Like, just smoking hash and just wearing like dark leather driving gloves with a white scarf like my D&D character.
Yeah. Like in the little race arc of our journey.
That was one of my favorite parts. And yeah, man, Live from the Moon, that just that music is so good. I wish I knew what song that was sampling, because it is so cool. And
yeah, and then the Young Mexico feature at the end there.
who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, honestly, like, where'd you find this dude? And I was wondering the whole time, like, I don't think I heard another rapper on this. And then I go to the Wikipedia and it's like, oh, he did the little sax solo at the end. I'm like, oh,
Really
okay.
nice, man.
Very smooth.
You know me, I'm a sucker for sax.
Mm-hmm. You're a sucker for sax.
I'm a
You
sax.
say it every day.
I'm a sax man. I'm a sax man. I love also that Live from the Moon ends on this really chill saxophone solo, and then the song after, White Bronco, kind of brings it back for a second in their intro.
Well, I almost kind of wonder why they didn't kind of connect those songs.
Right? It seems like what's going on is the White Bronco one, I think, is a sample.
Okay.
So I think it just happens to be sample that he has saxophone ending one song and then starting the next song. But yeah, man, Live from the Moon I think is a vibe. I think it's one of the best songs on the record, just in terms of like musically. And I think so. And I think anyone can vibe out to that. You don't have to be stoned as I was to dig it.
But it helps.
It really helps, and it helped a lot on my second choice nug, which is Prince Charming.
Prince Charming.
That one's kind of, it has an awkward line in it that almost made me hate the song forever.
Yeah.
It's I think it's kind of a love song a little bit. But it's also, it's just Bronson going off, but it has that vibe. It samples a really cool song from the 60s, and it just has this really nice harmonized smooth female vocals.
Yeah.
With like 3 harmonies going.
Yeah.
Really
It's
cool.
very pretty, but it also, like, with an 808 kick, 808, set.
Yeah, it sounds like some 808 bass going with some kick drum, and then almost like a clappy, drum pad clap for the snare. And I bet I could find the name of the sample, because I went down a rabbit hole this morning listening to this album again. I remembered there's a website, and I think it's about to become my favorite fucking website, called it's whosampled.com. And you can search a rap song and it'll tell you what song they sampled to make the beat, and you can click on it and it'll take you to the YouTube channel or the YouTube video, and they put the time code in it to start playing on the part that they sampled. So just from Action Bronson alone, I made a playlist today of probably hundreds of songs, 160 songs of this playlist so far. And I made a playlist of my favorite of those songs that are actually like the songs that they use for the samples for whoever wants it. So I'll just say it right now. Whoever wants me to send them that link, I will. But I was going to send it to Michael and Andres and Luis, because I feel like they would love this stuff, because a lot of it is funk, blues, or like Eastern European, like psychedelic rock. And Prince Charming has one of my favorite samples on the record. It's such a beautiful song in terms of music for the record, and it's by a band called Benitez and Nebula. The song's called I'm So Sad. Came out in 1976. It's beautiful soul funk, really, really nice music. Kind of reminds me of, like, Chicano Batman.
Chicano Batman.
Yeah, do you know those guys?
No.
They're really cool, man, and they're bringing back the kind of 60s and 70s Latin soul and psychedelic music. And I can tell that one of their big influences is Benitez and Nebula. So if anyone that's listening likes Chicano Batman, check out Benitez and Nebula, because they're legit and they're clearly influencing Chicano Batman, and they're awesome. But yeah, I love the beat, man. It's it sounds like his lyrics on Prince Charming are some of his most inspired on the record also.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's probably his strongest work on the record, but it does have that line that is so gross and awkward to me that I hate it. He says, my sex stories ain't suitable for listeners, cause prisoners to whack off.
Well, enough of the soft stuff.
Yeah, enough of the soft shit. Me by myself is like the Four Horsemen.
You don't think that's hilarious? Is that he says that and he's like, all right, enough of the soft stuff.
Yeah.
I'm getting prisoners to whack off.
I guess I didn't realize that part of it. That is really funny. I just think it's such an awkward line. It reminds me of Notorious B.I.G., like one of his most awkward lines that I'm surprised he doesn't get called out on more for how fucking weird it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if you listen to a lot of B.I.G.
Nah.
There was a time there that I got really into him, and he has a line talking about how hot a woman is, and he goes, "You look so good, I'd suck your daddy's dick." How weird is that?
Well, I mean,
how weird is that line? How does he not get called out more for how homophobic the hip hop scene is? He doesn't get called out talking about wanting to suck a girl's dad's dick because of how hot she is.
Hey man, there's nothing wrong with that in my book.
Hey man,
You want to get it straight from the source.
I got in trouble in college by saying a mouth's a mouth. So there's a rumor started going around that I was gay because I made a joke that we were watching Police Academy. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Really old, stupid comedy movie. One of those like 80s romps. And there's a scene in it where they prank the chief of police and they put a prostitute under the podium and she gives him a blowjob while he's doing a press conference.
Oh my God.
So he doesn't realize what's going on and he's just going with it because he can't react. He's like in front of reporters and everything. And then he somehow after the press conference, they sneak the prostitute out of the from underneath the podium. And then one of the officers goes underneath there. So when the captain is walking away, he looks back to see like who just did that. He sees like one of his recruits and his recruit's like waving at him. And the captain like, obviously like all the color leaves his face. He's like, oh my God. So I was watching it with a friend of mine in high school, and he was saying like, dude, I would fucking freak out if that happened. Oh my God. And as a joke, I was like, hey man, a mouth's a mouth. And all of a sudden that Monday at school, would you believe me if I told you that like 20 people came up to me asking me if I was gay?
Really? Yeah. People were that sensitive?
Dude, like he legit went around and told a bunch of people, dude, I think Lucas is gay. He said this fucking thing, blah, blah. And then within a day or two, I had like some of my closest friends coming to me asking me. Oh, and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? And I would tell them the joke and everyone would be like, really? That's what you said? And I'm just like, yeah. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, where is this? The dude believed you? And it was like, once I explained to them what happened, everyone was like, what the fuck? But
you were ahead of your time, man.
I mean, now everyone's just about the pleasure thing. Yeah, I was...
Look, a mouth's a mouth, a hole's a hole, Yeah,
I was representing that in junior year of high school before I ever got my first kiss. I was all about the pleasure thing. But before we go into the ratings, man, this album didn't seem like it got very good ratings.
No, critically.
Not critically. I mean, mixed reviews. The only, his Wikipedia only has 2 reviews on it, so that's not really... It wasn't a widely reviewed album, I guess. But Pitchfork, who are notorious for me disagreeing with them.
Everyone talks about how you and them have differing views.
That's whatever, everyone else is talking about the pod couple of oddcasts on Twitter. And the only other thing they're talking about is the Pitchfork beef.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they said that, this album largely lacks the, I don't even know how to pronounce this word. That's how much I think these guys are assholes. Piquancy. I don't even know how to pronounce that. It says piquancy. I gotta look it up now. I sound like a fucking idiot. Piquancy, a pleasantly sharp and appetizing flavor. It says it lacks the piquancy and the depth that made him matter. Not that made him good. That made him matter.
Okay.
Fucking assholes. They gave it a 5.1 out of 10. And but Hip Hop DX, whatever that is, gave it a 3.9 out of 5. They said that there's no denying that he's one of hip hop's most beloved characters, and thankfully he continues to make strong songs and albums that back it up. With that said, this album isn't anything out of the ordinary for Bronson, which I totally agree. It's not anything special, and it might not be talked about or listened to this time next year. That's what the guy said. So he said a year from now it probably won't be very relevant.
I honestly think that might be fair.
I think it is. I think if you're not a huge fan of his, like I am already, this probably isn't one that you're going to go back to a lot.
No.
That's true. But, I mean, with that said, let's get into our ratings.
Yeah.
Cue rating song.
What is your rating?
What's the rating? What's the rating? What's the rating?
I like to take a couple quick breaths before I go into my my
So
Iron Maiden.
Quick, shallow breaths probably don't help you at all. We started with your choice, Nugs, man. Let's start with your rating. I'll let you go first again because I'm a gentleman.
All right. Well, not, I have yet to really dive into Bronson's discography. But it was a good album. All the music on this album was very good.
Mm-hmm.
I think there wasn't really much aside from a couple standout lines to attach to lyrically.
I agree.
And even the flow is kind of the same throughout this entire record.
Mm-hmm. It definitely doesn't sound like a right. He didn't sound like he was very.
It's not like he was challenging himself.
He was right. Exactly.
Like he was kind of doing the same old stuff he does, and it was just like, all right, another record, and he just kind of they took a week and they're like, all right, we're gonna bust out this record real quick. It's not a bad record. I think every time that JPEG sample of a horse comes on, I giggle.
Yeah.
Bronco. Yeah. And so I'm gonna give this one a 6.7 is what I'm thinking.
That's honestly better than I thought you were gonna give it. And yeah. So I appreciate. I think you're being very fair.
I mean, Action is also a favorite rapper of mine.
I was gonna ask. I don't think we've ever really talked about how much you like him.
He has a lot of stuff, so it was I kind of don't really know what to start with. So I haven't really gotten into him too much, but I listened to Astro World by Travis Scott.
Yeah.
This last week, just to, I don't know, I was in the mood to listen to Sicko Mode and was like, I wonder if anything else on the record is this good, and it is not. And that album is boring as fuck.
I agree.
I don't know why everybody loves it. I would give it like a 1.5 if I had to rate it. And so compared to most rappers, like if that's the bar, if Travis Scott is like the mainstream bar, then Bronson is just, high above it.
And you think about commercially how much more successful Travis Scott is. I mean, I was just talking about him like an hour ago, dude. Like, I mean, we've been doing this for more than an hour. I was talking about him like 30 minutes before we got on the recording. Yeah, because we were I don't know if you saw this, but you know how like fast food companies are now partnering with people to like create a meal?
Yeah, and Travis Scott kind of started that.
Travis Scott started that, and it apparently it blew the fuck up.
Yeah, it sure did.
Which is so strange to me. And I think now Saweetie has her own meal. I think
it was partly because it was like a McDonald's burger. Like it was such a meme,
Yeah.
That people were getting it ironically and his fans were getting it unironically. So, but I haven't seen any other artist like hit that same kind of success with this little trope.
I've never seen any other artist have a meal with a fast food shop.
Yeah.
That was a complete first for me. And guess who has one now with Burger King?
Jason Derulo.
Actually really close, weirdly enough. Like I feel like he's just as obscure now as this guy is. Fucking Nelly. Yeah, dude. Nelly has a meal with Burger King. But they're not calling it the Nelly meal. They're calling it his real name. Curtis something or other.
Curtis something or other meal.
The Curtis something or other Jr. meal.
Well, technically the Travis Scott meal was like the Cactus Jack.
Right. Yeah.
Technically
that's his Nike. That's his Air Jordan shoe, the Cactus Jack, which is ugly as fuck.
Cool name though.
Great name. You know what that's from?
No.
That was a wrestler. That's Mick Foley. That's one of his characters.
Really?
Yeah. You know Mick Foley.
Yeah, I know Mick Foley.
Yeah. His hardcore character is Cactus Jack. He was awesome back in the day. So I love that there's like a homage to that a little bit, but I don't like Travis Scott's aesthetic, his delivery. I mean, I could go off on that for a while, especially because of how popular the album got, that I almost like kind of resent how popular it got. Because I agree, it's not that fucking good.
Dude, my first exposure to him, not first, but my first big exposure, I was at ACL and he was headlining. And he came out like 30 something minutes late. You know,
Oh
and so
my
we were all
God,
just
what a
standing there,
dick.
and it was just like fire
Yeah.
and just like the most nothing. And he's like one of those scream rappers live, and so I very quickly like lost patience because none of his songs are really like screamo hardcore bangers or anything.
No, not at all. Like, he doesn't have to be that hype.
So I don't know, it's just odd, which sucks because I thought the concept of like Astro World was kind of cool, but even in the album he didn't really follow through with any kind of concept.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was just a cool reference to him being from Houston. I think that's it.
In any case, what was your rating of the album?
Oh wow, we went off on a tangent. Man, you know, we've said it already, but it's like this isn't my favorite Bronson record. I still really enjoy it. As a fan of his, I think it's definitely more in the middle of, you know, by now he has like 10 albums or something. Like it's more in the middle of the you know, in quality. But the music on this record, if there was instrumental versions of all this stuff, I would like it just as much as the stuff with Bronson on it. Like, so that tells you like how much Bronson really like brings it, in my opinion, on this record. For me, it's not disappointing at all, but it's definitely not top notch for him. So comparing it to all the other stuff that I you know, I love everything by him, but comparing it to all the other stuff that I like more than this, and considering like, you know, having to like really think about it more as I was listening rather than just like having this album on and just vibing out, really made me think about it differently. So I think I'm going to match your rating closely. I think I'm going to give it a 7.0.
Wow. Okay.
And it's, again, it's like, it pains me because I love the music on this record. You know what? I'm going to give it a 7.5. I'm changing.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Because it's like, I don't want to be that hard on it because of how much I like the music on this. Like I said, if it was just the music, it would easily be an 8. If not more. So,
and it's not like Bronson degrades the songs at all, but it's kind of like you could copy and paste his bars into any song and it wouldn't be too different.
For sure. Like you said, without like, you know, with a few standout lines, it's not really enough to make it a great record in terms of him. But that doesn't take away anything from me about Action Bronson. He's still, I mean, by far my favorite rapper, and works with some of my favorite producers, and again, like, has exposed me to so much cool stuff, man. So I would love to talk about Mr. Wonderful whenever you're ready to talk about it. I might even fucking throw in Blue Chips eventually, just because,
dang,
you know, I feel like that one I can get even more hype about and everything. But it was really fun, like, listening to this and like having to listen to it in an objective way, in a
more
sense.
critical way,
Which I've never done before with Action Bronson. I'm just so like, I love everything. I don't care. It's kinda
Yeah.
like RX Bandits. Like, you can do no wrong.
Thank you everybody for listening to this episode of the podcast. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Lucas appreciates each and every tick up on the number on Podbean. He looks at every statistic every single day.
I look at our YouTube channel. I look at our stats on Podbean. It just like gets me so excited that people are listening. I love it.
Yeah. You can follow us on Instagram at EBPcast. Jean-Luc Guitard, Brett Hanrahan. We have our YouTube channel, Earbuds Podcast. We have our Twitch channel, Earbuds Podcast.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere, baby, except for like, I don't know, Twitter and Facebook and whatever.
People are talking about us on Twitter and Facebook, but we don't have a presence.
Yeah, we're
personally.
Not physically there.
Not physically, yeah.
We upload every Monday, the podcast. We stream every Friday at 7 p.m. That's when we're doing the most recent albums.
Yeah, we do live stream listening parties for an album that came out that day, and it's been really fun, man.
And we upload shorter versions of those streams to YouTube, and even shorter versions of those to Podbean and thus all podcast sites.
Yeah.
And I'm excited and a little scared about this next album that I want us to listen to.
Oh my God, I have no idea.
I've been waiting a long time to do this one, I've been waiting for when the time is right. It's going to be a little challenging, but not in the way that you would immediately think.
Not in the way I want.
We are going to listen to Whack World by Tierra Whack.
Tierra Whack? Whack World.
I think you reviewed this for Album of the Day last year.
I did?
I think you did. It's a 15-minute album with 15 songs.
Dude, I've never heard this before.
Well, it's at first I did not like this album at all. I did not appreciate it. But lately I've gotten a new appreciation for it, and it's something that I love to just put on. I don't want to say too much, but I would just say, like, just take it as what it is.
Wow, this is interesting, man. They're all a minute or less.
The first 2 songs are 58 seconds, and everything else is a minute on the dot. It's an interesting concept, and from a really good rapper.
Nice,
so
dude.
Let's see what you think about it, man.
We're following it up with another rap record. I dig it.
Yeah. And so that officially ends this episode. Get ready for next week.
That is it. Buddies, thank you so much for listening. Brett, what would you rate this episode?
You know what? I'm going to rate this episode at 8.5.
You know, I was hoping that you weren't going to do a 7.0 or a 7.5 like I thought you were going to do. I'm also going to rate it an 8.5. It's fun to talk about one of my idols for an hour plus.
It's fun to talk about one of your idols, and it's fun to kind of drag them through the dirt a little bit, and it's fun for me to just kind of take a step back and let you kind of hyperfixate and talk about your interests for a while.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Brett?
This. Lucas.
This.
Was. Good.
3, 2, 1.